Well, you know what, guys? If your coffee isn't doing the trick this morning, perhaps the sound of stimulus will. We have your attention at home, especially if you live in Maryland, where a recent article on a well-known finance site claims you can expect a fourth stimulus check soon. Well, we'll tell you right away, that's probably not the case. We talked to the Maryland Comptroller's office and looked into the Maryland Relief Act of 2021, which the article itself cites.
Folks, if you receive monthly benefits, then there are some very important news you have to know. Monthly benefit checks may be announced, dramatically decreasing your monthly stimulus. So as the economy has suffered from the crisis, supply chain problems, and skyrocketing inflation, while the federal government has stepped in multiple times to help Americans through a variety of relief initiatives, including stimulus checks, tax rebates, debt relief, and other programs. According to a recent Go Banking Rates survey, 60% of Americans would still like to see more stimulus money in 2023, and so would so many other people across the nation. Because when the crisis that led to this hardship may be over, financial woes for the people that suffered this will definitely not be over. Because the good news is that there are some programs that provide approved payments of 2022 that will continue to roll into this year. It's also possible that the American economy is going to go into recession. Not really possible, but it definitely will head into recession, and we're already in one. Because on the East Coast, several states have some kind of stimulus that will extend this year. Now, not all of the stimulus comes from bills passed by the Fed. Some are rebates or surplus tax refunds that states are passing along to the residents. Because in the state of Delaware, for instance, resident adults 18 and older who filed their income taxes may have been eligible for a Delaware one-time tax rebate. A one-time tax rebate, folks. And what I mean by this is that in the state of Massachusetts, $3 billion surplus was sent out. It decided to divide that money to its residents in the form of tax rebate and refund. Anybody who filed in 2022 should have received their refund already, but residents who filed their taxes on or before September 15th will begin that money too. And now, no later than September of this year, New Jersey residents can still take advantage of property tax refunds through the Affordable New Jersey Communities for Homeowner and Resistance Program. Pennsylvania has also given $1,500 while renters can receive $450 if you're a homeowner, and the deadline for 2023 filing is January 31st. Applications for this anchor program need to be filed with the state's Division of Taxation. Pennsylvania has an ongoing program since 1971 that benefits seniors, which is still in effect. They send out a refund of property taxes or paid rent monthly for seniors. The maximum standard rebate is $650, but those eligible for supplemental rebates can receive up to $975. That income limit is $35,000 a year for homeowners and $15,000 a year for renters, though half of Social Security income is excluded. To get the funds, an application is required. It must be filed with the state's Department of Revenue by December 31st, and the state of Virginia already sent eligible taxpayers checks worth up to $500 in the form of one-time bonus tax refunds. But while most checks were mailed out in September, for those who filed at the later end of the application window, it's possible that some checks may still be on the way to check out their monthly benefit checks in some way or form. It has already been almost 3 years since the crisis began. It was a long time ago, but many states have already been making adjustments to the monthly benefits. It has been announced that extra crisis SNAP benefits are coming to an end in 2 months for residents who use the program in Massachusetts. About 630,000 homes in the state have been relying on SNAP since March, and has allowed them to receive the maximum benefits, and that means good stimulus money.
I was able to get not all I needed, but $369 billion put in that bill. And we had, I think the guys were with me, the Congress were with me when I invited the CEOs of the auto companies to the White House lawn in the back, behind the White House. And I talked about automobiles, and they talked about electric vehicles. At the time, Amy Barr was Chairman Barr of General.
Now, Congress is planning to make big changes starting in just a few weeks. The low-income households could be set to qualify for a new type of relief. If you're struggling to pay necessities for rent, you may be eligible to receive a bonus check worth up to $500. And now 20 states have already failed to raise the minimum wage above the federal $7.25 an hour standard. 16 everybody have more than 12% of their children living in poverty. And anti-poverty advocates say that it's a sign there's an urgent need for lawmakers to increase the funding and do more to help struggling families. Congress had the opportunity to achieve the latter by expanding the child tax credit before the end of the year, but lawmakers just didn't arrive at a deal with Republicans to include it in the spending bill. Some say that raising the minimum wage would not lead to as fast or drastic of an improvement. However, according to analysis, in 2019, increasing the amount to $15 an hour would lift more than 500,000 people out of poverty, and the Economic Policy Institute estimated in 2021 that if Congress passed a $15 minimum wage increase by 2025, up to 4 million people wouldn't even have to live in poverty, 1.3 million of those being children. But there are lawmakers in Congress that want to continue to send families monetary relief checks. So far, Congressman Adam Schiff has sent a letter, and he's urging the House to extend the expanded child tax credit as soon as possible. The child tax credit monthly payments are used by millions of families in California and across the country to pay for necessities including food, rent, and educational expenses. This American Rescue Plan has actually critically expanded its reach and benefits, folks, increasing monthly checks and the number of eligible recipients by removing an earnings requirement that kept the lowest income families from claiming the full credit. But so far, between July and December, child poverty was slashed by nearly 40% to reach a record low of 5.2, and now 3 million people were lifted out of poverty in a single month. But Congress has put nearly 10 million children nationwide at risk of falling deeper and deeper into poverty, as they did not pass a bill to continue this expansion. But as House Democrats put forward the biggest legislative priorities over the next 4 weeks, Adam Schiff is urging that an extension of the child tax credit is included to any year-end package. The expanded child tax credit provided a lifeline to more than 65.6 million children nationwide and nearly 8 million people in California, folks. So far, everybody. According to data from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, since the expansion expired, an estimated 20 million children nationwide have been unable to claim the full payment. And then we have another thing to talk about, folks. It's a Democratic lawmakers introducing the new bill to increase the state child tax credit for working families. This is done in efforts to address rising levels of poverty in the city and states of New York. And this is pretty good because it now means that stimulus payments could be sending out more and be sent out now in 2022 and 2024 and even in 2025. A bill to create the New York State Working Families Credit would actually increase the state child tax credit program to the $1,500 per child from $500 and expand eligibility to children under age 4 and families making some pretty no money. Families actually would be paid quarterly, and since single taxpayers making just a gross income of $25,000 or less, or couples making $50,000 or less who file joint return, they would be eligible for the benefit. The State Department of Taxation and Finance would assess a family's eligibility for the credit through income filings from their annual tax return. The U.S. also started in 2023 yet again as one of the few wealthy nations without any national paid family leave or paid sick leave program. Folks, this is bad because with Congress divided, advocates are turning to states to bolster benefits for workers and families, and the Democrats attempt to pass 4 weeks of paid federal family leave to fall apart in the U.S. Senate, leaving a patchwork of rules for workers and businesses to navigate across. The state-by-state nature of this is pretty dangerous. Of the rules means the millions of